Throw 3 darts at the map. Toss in 3 wildly distinctive personalities,
How's that for a first impression?
plus 3 clever projects, and you've got a craft show that'll have you saying, "That's clever." Hey everyone, I'm Angela Martinez. Welcome to That's Clever. Crafters often set the stage for creativity by thinking outside the box. Our first artist is from Connecticut. He unmasked a design that gets a crocodile ready for its close-up.
Hi, I'm Joe Bryan from Falls Village, Connecticut. And I make polyfoam masks like this one, my crocodile mask. Come on into the studio. This is where I make this guy. Welcome to my studio. This is where I make foam come to life. I start by laying out all these patterns on the sheet foam, trying to get the most out of the material. After I have all the patterns in place, I trace around the outside of the patterns with a fine marker. These dots that are going around the center give me the placement for my glue line. This will help me with my alignment for the gluing of the other parts. Now that I have all the patterns traced, I'll use a craft knife to cut out all the pieces. I have to make sure to use a very sharp knife blade, otherwise I'll shred the foam. Once I have all the pieces cut, I start by gluing the head cylinder. When I glue the seams, I use a hot melt glue gun set to the low temperature setting. After I glue the seam, I usually use a timer to make sure that I hold this for 1 minute. Once my head cylinder is glued together, I glue the top headpiece in place, starting in the middle. I can only glue a few inches at a time because I have to hold this steadily for a good minute. I saw a stage performance that was done using masks made out of this kind of foam about 20 years ago, and I was so inspired by the performance that I decided to go home and try to make some of these on my own. I have one last 4-inch section to glue. Once this last seam is cool, I'll put in the hat band. This is the hat band. I'm going to glue this way up inside the head cylinder. The hat band is held into place pretty well, so I can glue most of this in one setting. Once the hat band is glued into place, I start to work on the lower jaw. There's more gluing and more weighting. This is the lower jaw, which is about 1 inch smaller than the upper jaw. This gives him a more whimsical look. I've gone ahead and completed the top jaw the same way I finished the bottom jaw. Now I'm going to glue the jaws onto the head cylinder. More glue, more weighting. I've made masks of many different animals. Some of my favorites are the cheetah, a donkey, kind of a fantasy wolf creature with horns. I made one insect, a praying mantis. I use these marks to align the pieces so everything ends up symmetrical. Now that I have all the major parts assembled, I'm going to place the mask on a stand so I can add all the scales along the back. All self-respecting crocodiles have scales. Now that the scales are on, I'm going to tape this guy up so I can take him outside to paint him. This is a painter's masking tape that sticks just the right amount. It will hold on to the foam until I'm done painting, but will peel off easily. I'm taping the top edge of the jaw because I want to paint the inside of the mouth red and the outside of the mouth green. Once the mouth is taped up, I'm ready to paint. I'm using spray paint, so I'm going outside. This crocodile's been drying for a couple hours. Now I'm going to start the eyes. To make the eyes, I start with a rigid foam ball, cut it in half with a handsaw. I have a pattern for the pupil. I'm going to lay that over the top of half the ball. I'm going to use a pen to trace around the pattern. I'm using a handmade sanding stick to incise the lines from the pattern. Incising creates depth. Now I use the flat edge of the sanding stick and bevel the edge of the pupil. This gives a smooth area for the paint to flow. Now that I have the eyeballs shaped, I'm going to paint the pupil black. I'm using acrylic paint because it bonds well to the surface. I have the pupil painted, but I want the eye to look more menacing, so I'm going to use yellow pipe cleaners to define the edges. I'm going to poke the pipe cleaner into the back of the eye, and then bend it around into the groove. Now I'll cut this off at about 1 inch, bend this end, and poke it back into the foam. And I'll do the same thing with the other pipe cleaner. The eyes are done. Time for more gluing and waiting. It usually takes 10 or 12 glue sticks to make a crocodile. When I'm not making masks, I like to make marionettes. I've been working with kids for a long time and help them make marionettes. And then we do shows for the whole community. I'm going to take the masking off and get ready to put the teeth in. Now that I have the menacing eyeballs in place, I'm going to add these fierce teeth. I've gone ahead and painted these polyfoam teeth white. My crocodile mask is done. Now he's ready to swim with the big boys.